Hey, somebody needs to stack the helmets. Yeah? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to The Professional Noticer. Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. Hey, thank you for making me a part of your week. My purpose here today with every show we do is to play the part of a best friend or a coach. I want to help you live the life of your wildest dreams by giving you access to the greatest mentors the world has to offer today. This week, The Professional Noticer is sponsored by WisdomHarbor.com. Today, families and school systems all over America are finding WisdomHarbor.com's one-of-a-kind streaming service to be the perfect, low-cost, high-quality educational tool for their students. Wisdom Harbor's stated responsibility is to create the next greatest generation, starting with your hometown and your school system. For less than $3 a month per teacher, classrooms have access to original content only found on WisdomHarbor.com that teaches, entertains, and builds character in young people while creating conversations between young people and the adults in their community. Utilizing video, audio, and the written word, content is delivered in small bites by Grammy winners, CEOs, comedians, chefs, best-selling authors, and Hall of Fame speakers. There are even guitar lessons from an award-winning songwriter. Check it out today and join your friends and neighbors who are already a part of WisdomHarbor.com. And isn't it time your schools got involved? WisdomHarbor.com, creating America's next greatest generation, starting with your hometown. Observations and answers, that's what we do on The Professional Noticer, and we love it when somebody comes to the table with both, and we've got a lot of the both today. I think this is the fourth time we have done this, and this is my favorite podcast of the year. My favorite. My wife says, you are such a little fangirl of this team. And yes, I absolutely am. The Orange Beach Lady Softball Makos. Now, let me just tell you, we have Coach Shane Alexander here today. We had been having members of the team, but we've got so many stars on this team now that we don't have the cameras to cover them around the table. Yeah. And so we picked two of the three seniors on this year's team. And we're glad. Daigle Wilson is here, the shortstop. And K.G. Favors, our pitcher. Our shortstop is committed to Auburn. Our pitcher is committed to South Carolina. You are committed here, buddy. You're committed here. And this is my favorite team of all time. This is the Orange Beach Lady Softball Makos, four-time state champion and current national champion. How does that even feel to be a high school sports star and have the national champion tag put on you?
Anybody?
I didn't even know that it was a thing. Honestly, I didn't know that was possible because we've always just had the goal of state championship. And I think that kind of raised our bar now.
Yeah. And of course, Max Preps, they've never seen us play. And, my personal thoughts on rankings is I could care less. As long as we hold up the blue trophy at the end. But, it was neat. I mean, being the first team from Alabama to ever do it, and there's been some good teams in the state of Alabama. So I can't.
Yeah, this is the first team of any sport.
Well, if you go back, there's been other.
No, we're not talking about frog gigging in 1952.
Yeah, I think way back when there might have been a football team with some other ranking.
So we don't count them if they wore leather helmets.
But as far as Max Prep softball, it's never been done in Alabama. Usually it's, California, Texas, Florida. So,
I got interested in this. I ran into you and Matt in the Publix one day. Mm-hmm. And you guys had just won your second state championship. And I'm like, second? Yeah, I think I heard something about them winning last year. And you guys won your first state championship as 7th and 8th graders. Mm-hmm. And then everybody kind of thought, well, that's nice. What a nice little fluke, But then you won as 8th and 9th graders. And then everybody was after you, but you won the state championship again as 10th and 11th graders or like 9th and 10th graders. And then last year, about the middle of the year, I'm starting to get these call-ins on my email from Max Prep Sports, which is the national thing, and it's saying that the Lady Makos are now ranked, and I think you came onto the charts around 11 or 14 or something like that. And then I was like, oh my God, and I got really interested in the national aspect of this. And so, you know, Mr. Statistic, I found out there are more than 24,000 varsity lady high school teams in America. More than 24,000. There's more than 300,000 young ladies playing varsity fast pitch softball. And out of 24,000 teams, I see Pacific Palisades lose, and then this team in Katy, Texas loses, and this team in New York loses, and you guys are popping up. And about the last month of the season, you're entrenched as number one, and then you stay number one all the way through. You win the state championship, and you're number one at the end of the season. This is the number one team in the nation with 24,000 teams. And we have a little town of 5,000 or 6,000 people.
Yeah, and I think the thing that impresses me the most is, and I think I said this maybe on the last time we were here, is in the state of Alabama, we can play 18 regular season games, 7 tournaments. So you can play 40, 50, 60 games. To lose a game playing that many is, I mean, it's understandable.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of these states like Florida or Texas or California, they're limited. If you look at records, you know, they may be 24-1. You know, they may play 25 games. So for us to play twice as many games, and we were 46-1.
Yeah.
To me, that's the thing about the rankings is we're playing twice as many games. So yeah, last year was special. You know, we beat Pace twice last year, and you know, I think they won 25, 26 games.
Yeah, they ended up what, number 4 or 7?
They were in the top 10.
They're in the top 10 in the nation, and they only lost 2 games, and they lost them to you guys.
Right.
And their pitcher was the National Player of the Year for the nation. 300,000 kids. She was the National Player of the Year, and she only lost 2 games, both of them to you guys.
Yeah, and she's a tremendous talent. She's special, and you know, she pitched her first collegiate game the other night and threw a perfect game.
Really?
So everybody's texting me. It's like, you know, you guys had more hits against her than this college team. You know,
who's she pitching for now?
LSU.
Wow.
So,
and their first game was a perfect game.
Yeah.
You guys got to tell me this so I can follow these people. These are our villains that I was following. Ooh.
Yeah. So
I was giving her the cooties. You know,
it's just this, you know, to play that many games, and you know, we've said it, you know, over and over. We had one bad inning. And if you were to tell me we're going to play 47 games and we had one bad inning and we lost, yeah, I'd take that every year. So, but speaking of that, we come bearing gifts.
Okay.
So we want to present you. The girls got this their rings probably a week or 2 ago, and so we want to present you. You know, you've got a beautiful place here, museum-like, but we wanted to present you something you could add to, you know, all this memorabilia. You have some.
Oh my gosh!
Some Mako.
Don't tell me. Oh my gosh! A national championship ring?
Yeah.
They won't be able to live with me around here. My wife is not going to be able to live with me at home. I'll be. Oh my gosh! So Zoe, I'll be singing to my wife. Like, here, dear, can I give you something? Oh my gosh! It has my name on it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we will display this here so people can come kiss the shrine, the Orange Beach Lady Makos shrine.
So we also, we had a shortstop who's a pretty good player, number 4. All the national championship teams signed it. I'm going to get this framed for you so you can add it.
Awesome.
Next to Hank Aaron.
Yeah.
And then we also have something coming. I'll get it to you. We're having a little problem with some pixelation on we have a national championship poster that we're getting made once we can figure out the pixelation in the photo.
This is awesome.
So yeah, we're going to put some Mako gear up in here,
that is awesome. I'm so excited. Now I gotta ask a question. Or here, let me do it. Let me do it this way. I gotta ask a question. This is my favorite topic when I'm out and about. I mean, you know how you tell people, okay, you're going to build relationships and make friends and all. So have something to talk about. Have something to talk about. What's your go-to? This is my go-to. I mean, when I was in, where was I? I was in Portland not too long ago, and I go, you guys do lady sports around here? Oh, yeah. I said, you keep up with your girls' softball team? Not really. I do. Let me tell you why. And I'll tell them my story. And I mean, I've got I've got people committed to watching you guys all over the nation. That are going, and I'm gonna have to do a Facebook Live sometime this way with one of the games. But this, people ask when I tell them about this, they say, "How did it happen?" And so I know what I answer with that, but how do you answer that? How did it happen? Because people assume that it happened like recruiting, like you went and got all the best players and put them on one team.
So, and they can answer, KG came from Texas, but
that was years ago.
Yeah, we hear it a lot. I'd say it's jealousy, but these players, if you go back to the first year with COVID, the reason Justine Henderson came from New York was they shut down sports in New York. She couldn't play, and she had her mom's sister lived in Orange Beach, and so they came down here to get away from New York and COVID, and they said, well, they're playing here, and so Justine stayed, and she was, she's a foundational piece to that first year, and then through bolts and our facilities and living at the beach. Who wouldn't want to come here and live at the beach and play at the facilities with the players we had already? And it's kind of just they said, well, you're recruiting. I said, no, it recruits itself.
It recruits itself.
Yeah, the success, the facilities, the coaching staff we have.
That's how I recruit people here. Want to live at the beach?
Yeah. So it does it on its own. We're not.
Here's a curious question. I started working with Coach Saban at the beginning of his third year, and that was the year that they jumped to the thing, and that was the year that the national the entire regular season was undefeated. And then we lost in the SEC championship game, lost in the bowl game. But the next year we ran the whole table to go. But that was the year things changed. And so I look at the number of players going from his program from there to the pros. And I kind of compare the same thing of number of players going from your program going to college things. Because back then there wasn't the NIL, and so it's kind of the same. You can just kind of apples to apples. But I would get this question when I would get down in deep discussions with people. People say, is it the team, the culture making the players, or are the players making the culture? I mean, what comes first here? And so what do you think comes first?
Definitely players making culture. We try really hard to see our values in our little girls. And they do a great job of fitting into that culture. And we all just have different personalities, and they all just stick like glue.
Yeah.
Like, me and Daigle really didn't know each other until, 5 years ago. And now, I don't know what I would do without her as my best friend.
So you came from Texas in your 7th grade year?
No, sir. I moved in when I was a freshman.
Okay, so 9th grade.
Yes, sir.
9th grade. Okay. And, you mentioned the little girls. I try to, this is one of those parts of your story. I wish I could do a documentary or something about you guys, because I feel like it's a story that needs to be told. I mean, and I'll see at the beginning of the games, these little bitty girls. Who are these little bitty girls that you each seem to have 2 of them that hang on you? And
they're in our little program.
Yeah, we call our little sisters.
Yeah.
Is what we call them.
They're elementary. They're all from elementary school, and they're literally adorable.
Yeah.
They'll play before the game, and it's just really fun to hang out with them.
yeah, I see. You have an assistant coach that'll throw them grounders, and then you go and talk to them before the game. I'm just amazing. You're immersing these kids in this culture before they ever approach it.
Yeah, we started it last year. It's called our Little Sis program. And, I feel like coaches, we steal everything from things we see. And I'd seen a college program that was doing that. I said, we need to do something like that. So we started it last year, opened it up to, kindergarten through 6th graders. And just it gets them to the stadium. They get to meet the girls. They write them letters. They get to watch them pregame, how they go about their business. What does it take to be a Mako?
When the girls are introduced for the national anthem,
run out there with
you guys.
So we're hoping when they're off in their next adventures, this younger group continues it on. And, we had a sign up last week, and, and I was checking the sign-ups, and, we had 30 girls just like that already sign up, wanting to do it again. So it's just a way of getting them into our program, see what it's all about. And then hopefully it pays off.
I want to tell you something that happened to me maybe 15 years ago that was a real sea change in how I thought about myself and how I had to be careful of thinking about myself. Because there's two extremes that we tend toward when we think about ourselves. We either think we're too good or we think we're not worth anything. And I think it's very rare that we accurately see ourselves. And so, most normal people wanting not to be filled with arrogance or conceit, you tend to downplay yourself and tend to lessen your value. And so years ago, there was a friend of mine who people were stopping me and asking to take pictures and all. And I was just kind of like, this is just insane. This is crazy. Why are these people doing this? And my friend said, let me ask you something. He said, when you were growing up, there was an author named Og Mandino who wrote The Greatest Salesman in the World. And he said, that was your go-to book. He said, what would it have meant to you to be walking along and suddenly see Og Mandino in the mall and be able to talk to him for just a couple seconds and take a picture with him. I said, I'd have freaked out. I said, well, he said, well, these people see you like that. And I'm like, me? And I said, yeah, you are their Augmentino. You're, and so I look at you and I know, I mean, I talk to you, so I know how you downplay yourself and your program, but there are people, I mean, you are seen as the Nick Saban of this sport. Now I know you're serious already. You're already shaking your head. You're already shaking your head. But at some level, you have to. I mean, you can downplay it, but you have to accept the time that comes with that, because there are people who want their picture with you, who want just to have a few minutes with you, and I mean, you are. Pat Summit.
Yeah.
You know, Pat Summit, the guy from UConn, the basketball coach from UConn. I mean, Saban. There are very few people that get a branding with a particular group. And, dude, you're going on 5 years. Okay, don't say anything. Let me ask Daigle, what do you... What is you've been coached by different coaches. What do you see is different when you walk into Coach A's presence, when you walk onto his practice field, when you walk into his locker room? What is different going on there? Because I'm trying to get at the culture of this. What has happened here?
I feel like I've always been able to play or like perform my best under Coach A and Coach Boyd and Coach Jody, because they're the type of coaches that have always like, they encourage, and even like they know it's okay to fail. And so sometimes it's under circumstances, like some circumstances where it's like, it's not okay to fail is what some coaches will make you believe. And they know, like, I don't care if you go all out, like, I'm going to encourage you. I don't care if you fail. And I think that's what's helped me be able to perform my best and show up to the field every day, like with a smile on my face, and know, like, I love it and I want to come here every single day because of like the environment that they make it.
You know, softball is one of those sports that's like golf. It's like kicking. It's like shooting, in that the actions, whether it's a swing, a pitch, a catch, or a throw, you have to do away with that mentally after it's done. There's nothing less important than the last shot. There's nothing less important whether you made a great pitch or threw it in the dirt. There's nothing less important going forward than the last pitch. How do you maintain that, KG? How do you maintain that focus?
Well, I don't think about my last pitch. Like, it's always the next one for me. And with Ava, like, that's easy for me. And like, it's not necessarily about a pitch, it's about the batter. Like, you have a certain pitches, you throw certain batters, and you don't want to dwell on if you threw it in the dirt or to the backstop. Like, that's just not going to get you anywhere, especially with this team. Like, it's always one step forward, then not 2 steps back.
Yeah, and you know, and I'm going to backtrack to what you had said earlier. I am very fortunate in my position, and I've kind of I've been very. The timing of all this, when I really sit down and look at this program, the timing of how things have happened is, I am very fortunate that I have 2 coaches that I consider, on paper it may say assistant coach, but I consider them co-head coaches.
Yeah, they're world class.
And I have felt my role changing, which I am totally fine with, to where it's more of a manage. I have total trust in Coach Boyd with anything defensively. It's hers. Jody, anything hitting, offense, trust him. So I have kind of felt my role the last 2 years, which I'm totally fine with, of just managing instead of, I had back surgery in November. And so they'll tell you, I'm not much help at practice.
Granddaddy can't pick up balls anymore.
Yeah, so I'm watching, observing, and let your coaches coach. I've been doing this a long time, so it's kind of when people say this about you or whatever, I'll be the first to tell you it's not me. I've got great coaches. We've got great players. When those comments are made, I want to be the first one to say, look, it's not me. It's all of us together because, but I just think, the timing of things that have happened, how we got Coach Boyd here was just, to me, it's a God thing that it just worked out. I mean, her showing up or, Katie King showing up or, it's just, this is a story that I'm with you. It needs to be told because
when I look at the seed of this and, having had a little to do with the Alabama thing, I can't help but see parallels between you and Nick because you're saying I don't really have anything to do with it. Well, I watched Nick on the practice field through the time that there's a time that he has Kirby Smart, and then there's a time he realizes I've got Kirby Smart.
Yeah,
I've got a guy out here as an assistant coach that is better than 99.9% of the D1 coaches out here. And then he has Sarkisian. And I see how he allowed that. I see how he struggled with Lane Kiffin. Which everybody struggles with Lane Kiffin. But I see how that you have allowed that culture to saturate. And if I can make another parallel, this is kind of curious. I don't know that anybody will ever do again in college football what Nick did. Every kid he recruited that stayed for 3 years left with a national championship ring in his entire career. Every kid. And he is the only coach ever to have first-round draft picks from all 22 positions on the field. And so that is not, they used to call, there's some team they used to call linebacker U and quarterback U and where these position players. But Alabama became where that culture was so dominant that it began to affect all those players and they began to. And so now I look at you and there are some behind the scenes statistics that I have dug up that I don't even know if you guys know about this, but I don't know if these things will ever be done again. I mean, I look at with a high school team, you can commit to a major college on September 1st of your junior year. So you can commit to a major college. They can offer, you can commit, and you still have 2 years to play in high school. Okay? And so this team right now, every position on the infield is committed to a major college, and 2 of them have 2 commitments. I mean, you understand the backup player for first base, the backup player for third base is already committed to a college scholarship. This is just ridiculous. And then the babies you guys put in the outfield, they're just not old enough to commit yet. But last year we had an 8th grader and a 9th grader, 8th grader in right field, 9th grader in center field, and they're going somewhere. I mean, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And so, but if I look at your roster, now here's where I started diving into the minutia last year. There was a game where L.C. Robbins, your center fielder, she was in the 9th grade. She was the number 9 hitter in the lineup. And there was a game where she hit 2 home runs. 2 over the fence. The number 9 hitter. And I'm like, if you can't pitch around a number 9 hitter, you cannot pitch around this lineup. And so I got to wondering, because of how many teams we mercy rule, you guys get to play a lot of players. I mean, your statistics, you stole 57 bases last year. You struck out almost 200 people last year. And your statistics might be close to double if you had played like everybody else plays. But we get so far ahead, you're putting in younger players and players with less experience. And so that means your statistics are not getting padded, but it also means they're getting a chance to play. And do you know, when I look at L.C. Robbins, I think the number 9 hitter hit 2 home runs in one game. How many of these girls have hit? And then when Phelan Beebe hit a home run, I was like, how many of these girls have hit home runs? I know Ava's hitting them over every other game, and Tegan's hitting them over every other game, but
every one of them hit a home run last year.
14 different players off your roster. 14. 9 starters, ladies and gentlemen. 14 players hit the ball over the fence.
Yeah.
That is just unbelievable. I don't know that just like Nick, I don't know that that'll ever be done on a high school field again.
Yeah. I don't know, but, and here's what I like about these two, and I'll tell you. I like to watch and observe people, body language, their interactions with their teammates. I love to look out there. Daigle's at shortstop, and we've got, a 7th grader, the JV player behind her. 7th grader will, do something wrong in practice, and we don't yell or, we're not that way. But Daigle's telling her how to correct it. Hey, do this, and because those young ones look up to these kids. And then the other day, KG's in the bullpen with MK, who's a 9th grader, 8th grader last year. And, MK's asking her questions. Well, hey, how do you grip this? Or how do you throw this? And she's showing her. So as a coach, seeing these players, they could easily, I've seen it, I've had girls in the past that just kind of blew off the young ones, but they're teaching the young ones, it's not necessarily coming from a coach, but to me as a coach, I'm like, okay, yeah, we've arrived. That's the culture I want, where these young ones are investing in the young ones, or the older ones are investing in the young ones. And down the road, hopefully they're going to continue doing that. And this thing, my goal is when I get out of here, this thing just keeps rolling.
Yeah.
And when you got kids like this
that
doing
was Nick's
stuff,
goal too.
Yeah. So yeah, it makes my heart happy. I don't know. This was probably a couple of weeks ago, and I can't even remember the situation. And I come into the locker room, and I've got to show you the locker room. It's unbelievable.
Okay.
She's leading a Bible study. Come on now. It doesn't get, it doesn't get better than that. So, I think I like where we're at. It makes my heart happy. So, because I know one day softball is going to end for them, and the quality people that they are, and they go out in the world and do great things. That's what, as a coach, I want to see that, and they're gonna be great at anything they do. So I'm just excited when they're in college. I'm gonna go watch, and me and my wife have already talked about, well, when she's playing Auburn, maybe we can, so. But I don't want to be that. I read something the other day about, what was it called? Destination addiction.
Right.
Don't wish, be happy where you're at right now. So I'm enjoying this.
Sure.
But, and that's what I want them to do. Don't say, man, I can't wait to get to South Carolina. I can't wait to get to Auburn. No, be happy where you're at right now. Because this is, like you said, this may never be done again.
Yeah.
So I want them to enjoy it. We're going to chase some history this year, hopefully. And
I've got my 4-season tickets. I got my ring.
So, but yeah, glad to be where I'm at.
When you, KG, when you look at, you probably had a natural affinity to throwing the ball underhand, but what percentage of what you do would you say God put in you? And then what percentage did God allow you to work on, to develop?
He definitely gave me the ability to play softball almost 90% and gave me the work ethic and everything it takes for that 10. Growing up, I didn't really know I wanted to be a pitcher. If I was being completely honest, I wanted to be a shortstop. It was just a cool position. And then I was like, I'm kind of good at this. And so me and my dad went to the field every day, and I just got good at it. And I stuck with it.
So what, I've seen, you throw right around 70 miles an hour. And so I've seen other pitchers who throw close to that, but everybody hits them. What's happening that they're not hitting you?
Um,
don't give away secrets. My fingernail, I cut it last night.
Pitch calling, definitely. Ava does a great job at pitch calling with certain batters. She just reads them as soon as they walk in the box. So that makes it a lot easier. You have a spin rate, like the way the ball spins, how it spins, where it's going to spin. Definitely, that's like if you look in college, like people can throw 76 miles an hour and still hit a home run. But like it's just like you have to have spin to speed's not everything. And most people think it is, but it's really not.
So the spin creates movement?
Yes, sir. Like whenever you see a pitch go left, you go right, up, down, even a changeup, like that's what like makes hitters think, it's down the middle. It's like 2 balls outside. So it's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining that when MK, 9th grade this year, which she can throw almost as fast as you, but not, she's probably within 6 or 7 miles an hour of you.
Yeah. She's coming off, she had rolled her ankle. And so she's just now getting back into it. But she has she's getting there. But, we clocked her in the bullpen the other day and, she was 63 with a rolled ankle.
Okay.
MK is, she was 64, 65. But like she says, it's all about the movement.
But MK doesn't have the movement on her ball.
She does. it's not like dramatic, but like to still throw 64, 65 and have spin, she's going to be great one day. And like she just has to develop as a player because she's freshman?
Yeah.
MK is a freshman. Like she has 3 more years.
Yeah.
Like she's gonna be great. And
Yeah.
Then you take somebody like, Caitlin, who plays first base, left-handed pitcher. She may throw 55 on a good day, but it's got so much
movement. Can't hit her.
It's so much movement.
Yeah.
But I think also we have 4 very capable of pitchers that are all different. But I think the thing that separates us is, you may be able to hit them. I guarantee the ones out playing the field are going to track it down. I mean, the infield is unbelievable. The outfield will go get it. I think our defense is the thing that, because, when you get to the state tournament, a lot of times you're not going to blow teams out. It's, 2-1,
Right.
3-2. Our defense to me, is elite.
Yeah. Well, the Arkansas coach say you have the best infield in America.
Yeah. And, if you hit it out there in the outfield, Kinsley Blackwell, who I think is an elite outfielder, LC she'll go get it. I mean, and, Taylor, who we're working on to become a better outfielder, hit it. That's fine. We're going to catch it.
Yeah.
Probably throw you out.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing to have. I've seen teams before where they have a really good pitcher and they may hit it and their defense lets them down. Or they got a catcher who can't handle it.
Right.
So
this is like the perfect storm. I mean, you guys filled every position, every coach's position. I think you have the best fan. Hey, I am sponsoring the stolen bases this year.
Oh.
Yeah, so
pressure there.
So let me just tell you, little girl, I don't want any of this aggressive base running where you run past first base and take second just because you can. You got to stop at first base and steal second. You know you're going to end up on second anyway. I would turn to your dad and I'll go, these guys are so aggressive that it kills their statistics. And I know you aren't in it for statistics, but I am.
Andy's given the signals this year for our base running.
Now, how did you guys? And this is like the cringe moment on the show, okay? Because at one point, I asked your dad last year. I just noticed something, and I said, these girls are so aggressive on the base paths. It's obvious they've been well coached because they look the same when they're setting up to go to the next base. They look the same. They're set the same way. Their first step is the same way. I said, but Matt, they're sliding head first. And I said, so I don't mean to say anything weird about your daughter or anything, but are they have any kind of extra padding up here? And Matt goes, no, just sports gear, And I'm like, wow, because 80% of the time you're sliding head first. Is it just a faster way to the bag?
I don't really know, honestly. I've always just gone head first. I think to me, it's easier for someone to put a tag on you if you're sliding in feet first. It's much easier. Like your legs are bigger. Like first, if you go in head first, I think it's harder to find an arm, a hand when you're tagging. So that's a lot of times why I go in head first.
And you can look and pull and
Scientifically, they say it's slower, but to her point, it's hard to find that hand going into a base where instead of a foot or a leg up in the air coming in. So, and a lot of times, with sometimes, especially on turf, where you may get to lean, you tend to lean forward when you're running. It's just how turf is. So a lot of times it might be easier as you're just to
fall
go
out,
that way.
yeah.
But, somebody always asks, was it easier sliding on turf? It's a different, you got to slide earlier or you're going to go right on by it. And they said, well, it ought to be soft. And Coach Hoda the other day in practice in center field, we were scrimmaging, and the way we had it divided up, we were missing a center fielder. And Coach Hoda said, well, I'll go to center field. And, the mind's telling you I could do this, but the body may not agree with it. And the ball was hitting the gap, and we all looked, and he's going, and all of a sudden he's like, I'm not going to get to it. I'm going to dive. And he dove, and it, he scraped up his arms, but it was a great effort. But we get our age. We're not doing that.
Oh my gosh. Well, listen, you guys who are watching this, I've got a lot of people across the country who are Lady Mako fans now, who are following you guys and everything. And so I know a lot of you come down for spring break, and a lot of you are, some of you are local. You have to make a game. It's just, turn off Canal Road right there by Sherwin-Williams and go back into the ballpark. And we got our stadium back there. It's very comfortable, but you have to come to a game. You got to get on this train. And this is so great. And listen, anything I can do, I'm at your beck and call. And so I'm very excited about you guys this year. Do you have a mild plan?
Win games.
Yeah.
Win important games. Don't worry about your record.
Yeah. We've always said we don't concern ourselves with our record. We're playing for that blue map.
The blue map, the Alabama State map.
Yeah, the state championship.
Apparently it's clear this year.
It's clear with a blue
clear.
outline. They've
Apparently it's
changed
clear.
it up. But, we're going to, we go to Hoover. That's always a big, testing point right before the playoffs. And we're actually taking them down to Kissimmee, Florida for a big tournament down there outside Orlando with some nationally ranked teams. And, we've had a few teams already, say, hey, we want to play them when we're down there. And I said, well, that's fine. We'll play anybody because we have a hard time scheduling games.
Yeah, I've noticed looking at the home schedule this year, it's like, hey.
Yeah, we couldn't.
People don't want to play us.
No.
And I mean, I'm hating to say, but Pace, here they're nationally ranked in the top 10 and they won't play us.
No, she didn't.
I can see why, though. I can see why. You got the player of the year. You're nationally ranked. You only lose 2 games, and that's to them. And in your mind, we'd have been undefeated, except for them.
And I guess it comes down to your your coaching philosophy. But we hadn't changed since they were 7th, 8th graders. That we're going to throw them in the deep end and see if they swim. But I think a lot of people they worry about records and job security. And I could care less. You could go 20-20 and win a state championship if you challenge them. And so I like to. We'll play anybody. I don't care. So people always ask, well, what's your record? I have no idea. Don't care. So I know we got four blue maps, and that's all I care about.
Going to win the next one. Yeah.
But yeah, so the regular season schedule is a little light, but we'll pick up the games and tournaments, and as long as we're rolling going into May, that's all I care about. So
that's awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
you.
And so I'll be up there bothering you from the stands. I can't wait. I can't wait for this year. When's the first game?
Next Thursday we're on the road at Baldwin County, seeing their friend Bird. She's plays travel ball with them. And
Where's that? We're Baldwin County.
Baby
Robertson.
Net.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a good pitcher. So yeah, that's what we want.
All right. Well, keep after it. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I'm Andy Andrews, the professional noticer, harnessing common sense and wisdom to plow through challenges all the way to an answer for you. And I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of another episode of The Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing the tiny bit of mental energy I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Limpert. The Noticer theme written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. Goose jerky for the cast and crew provided by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional financial consideration provided by Organic Plastics Incorporated. Friend, have you lain awake at night wondering what you might do to save the planet? Do you have any control at all? Here at Organic Plastics Incorporated, we're determined to do our best to mimic Mother Nature and the careful way she brings our dreams into reality. For instance, composite plastic wood is all the rage now, being used for decks and storage buildings. Most big box stores source this material from chemical plants, but we at Organic Plastics Incorporated have been nurturing a plastics orchard for more than 40 years now, and we're just coming to market with the very best. Our 2x4s, 2x6s, and plywood, like sheets, cost mere pennies on the dollar when compared to real wood or even their composite plastic cousins, because our boards are milled from the naturally organic grown plastic trees harvested from our secret plastic orchards. They're cared for by elves and loaded onto trucks by unicorn teams. That's Organic Plastics Incorporated, working with the Global Warming Initiative to make sure we don't all freeze to death.